All right. I'm glad to see us fill in the room. And first, it's so nice to be back in person. This is terrific. I've been missing this community. It's great to be speaking with you live again. I got a lot to say and a limited window in which to say it. In fact, I think they've just given me 5 extra minutes because they knew I was going to run over. So I'm going to get right into it. I got a couple of trends I want to talk to you about today. The first one being automation. Right? You've all heard about this. I hear about it more than probably any other professional topic these days. Everybody's talking about automation. Honestly, they don't all mean the same thing by it, but everybody talks about it. This slide has 5 different products on it, and I've seen automation used to refer to any one of those, or more than one of those, or any combination of those, and to me it's a lot more simple, a lot more high level than that. Automation is whenever software helps you do the work. That's really important these days, having software help you do the work. It's important for a couple reasons. It's popular for a couple reasons. Number one is that all those technologies, those 5 that are drawn on the slide you're looking at, RPA, low code, artificial intelligence, intelligent document processing, right? All these products, they've gotten good. They've gotten really valuable. And so now automation can help you more than it could ever help you before. That's one good reason why it's popular. But the other good reason is that we're heading into a time of economic turbulence. And if we hit a recession next year, like I think we will, we're going to see the same symptoms we see in any recession, which is we're all going to be asked to do a little more with a little less. The demands will be higher and the resources will be lower. And in a situation like that, we could all use whatever help we can get, and if software can help us do the work, then that's going to be useful. So for both of those reasons, automation seems to be the topic du jour. I hear a lot about it. Automation isn't perfect. Everybody talks about it, but there's some obvious flaws in it. Take, for example, that every one of those products is frequently aligned to its own set of data and working alone on that data. We've still got too much fragmentation amongst these technologies. They obviously work better as a team, and yet we typically deploy them separately, and we typically deploy them on separate slices of data. So those are 2 obvious flaws. I'm not going to resolve them right now, but please keep them in mind. Later on in the speech, I will come back to this moment and say, do you remember those problems? In 2023, we are going to need software to help us do the work. Automation is going to be the ends, but I'm going to bring up my other trend now to explain the means. The way to automation is convergence. Now, if you were to ask a consumer, we're mostly consumers here, what the theme of the year is, they'd say automation. But if you ask a vendor, they would say convergence. This is what's actually happening behind the scenes in our industry. And by our, I mean we're in this industry, right? Every one of those icons, that's Appian's product line, basically. So we are at the bullseye of this industry, and we're not the only ones. And all of us who are in it are thinking about convergence as much as we're thinking about automation. And I want to convince you. I want to convince you of that with some statistics. So I took just our top group of vendors, our competitors to Appian, and I took just that set of products that you saw in the previous slide, and I've compiled a few stats about how much of a movement there is toward convergence right now in our market. There have been 55 press releases in the past year by our direct competitors about acquiring technologies or using or deploying or having availability of technologies on that list. 55 press releases. Also, there have been 19 tech partnerships announced just amongst the top 10 vendors, right? Everybody's announcing new partnerships in order to say that they've got more than one area of the automation spectrum. Now, partnerships are when 2 companies come together and they say to you, the buyer, they say, look, we've each got part of the jigsaw puzzle, but if you buy both of us, you can get the whole thing. I am naturally skeptical of this approach, have been for a long time. You may have heard me talk about it. In my opinion, the price of entry for a vendor 1 year from now in automation is to own all of the automation technologies. I think it's just barely acceptable right now for a vendor to say, we've got half the puzzle, and if you'll buy our friend here, you have the other half of the puzzle. There's so many flaws in that proposal, right? 2 contracts, 2 interfaces, 2 upgrade cycles, 2 security profiles, uneven integrations, right? There's just so many problems with having that. I don't think it's going to work. But right now, you see a lot of it. I think in a year, it just won't fly anymore. Tech partnerships tend to be hot, tend to be momentarily hot, when industry senses they've fallen behind the times. And right now, the times say, we need automation unified. We need this to be easy. We need it to be easy and unified because we're doing it so often, there's so many cycles, and they're so symbiotic. They have to work together. Any two things that are working together constantly at a very high frequency and generating a lot of value through their partnership should be delivered together. And so 1 year from now, that's my prediction. I think you're going to need tight coordination between these technologies. But partnership equals synergy is an old myth, right? We'll hear it again for decades. It's one of these typical myths that bounce around in the technology business, like everything will be better when you unify your data, right? I mean, there's just some myths out there that we're all going to hear once in a while, and this is one of them. Okay, so 19 technology partnerships were announced, 16 acquisitions. We got in on this game a little bit. We did some acquisitions. They weren't small either. These acquisitions, these 16, they add up to $2.5 billion, so serious technologies coming together. And finally, analysts and media have also figured it out. There have been a lot of stories lately talking about convergence. So I got to check. Are you with me so far? Automation is the ends, and convergence is the means. So far, it's not too controversial. I want to take my next leap starting from here, however. I want to say that convergence is the biggest change. Convergence is really going to be transformative, and it's going to be more so than we realize, and here's why. Convergence is happening on two parallel planes. This is my punchline. This is like the theme of the speech. Convergence is happening on two parallel planes. It's not just that the applications that constitute automation are coming together, though they are. It's also that another plane, a data plane, is coming together. And when you consider the two planes in concert, the difference is going to be multiplicative and well beyond what we imagined when we talked about convergence on one plane at a time. By the way, I recognize that it is now fashionable to call these planes fabrics. So fine, I'm going to call them fabrics. And they're labeled on the slide as fabrics. We have a data fabric and a process fabric. But basically what this fabric means, well, let me say first of all that a fabric is exactly the answer to the two problems that we spoke about a moment ago in the automation situation. One was that we had separate technologies doing their own thing, and the second was that each of those technologies were applied to just one silo of data at a time. Well, a fabric is metaphorically and in this case practically the answer to those two restrictions, and I will talk about exactly why in just a moment. It also is the answer to a trend that I saw in the last few years, and you probably did too. In the pandemic, we were all forced to handle change. Organizations needed to figure out how to make a lot of modifications to their behavior in order to deal with exogenous change. Everything was changing. The way our employees wanted to work, the way our customers wanted to interact with us, the way regulations were written, the strategic situation, everything was changing, and it was changing faster than we were used to it changing, and every organization on earth had a do-or-die proposition to figure out how to keep up with all the change. And we did, by and large. We mostly did. We handled it. IT came through. IT are heroes, in my opinion, for what they did during the pandemic. They came through, we survived, but we did it by becoming agile at gunpoint, right? Under great penalty, we all had to figure out agility. And so now, whereas in the past we were solving our problems one silo at a time, but slowly, now we're solving our problems one silo at a time, but quickly. And if you thought silos were bad before, and that the accumulation of silos tended to balkanize and separate an enterprise, and you were right, then surely what we're doing now is even worse. And it's leading to a new kind of a problem. Agility can lead to fragmentation. So it's great that we're agile. That was a big step. We needed it to survive, but it's brought upon us a new problem. Now we're hyper-fragmented, right? Now we're more fragmented than ever because we just keep hitting problems with new silos. And so fabrics can also be an answer to that problem, the idea that agility leads to fragmentation. And let me describe exactly how these fabrics work, and you'll see how they can be an answer to all these problems that I'm mentioning. I'll start with the data fabric. You've probably heard of the concept of data fabric, but in case you haven't, let me tell you what it means. A data fabric is going to connect all the data sources around your enterprise and allow you to address them as if they were local, even though they are not local. They are spread across, they're scattered around your enterprise, and you're going to be able to address and query them and interact with them as if they were local. That's a pretty good solution to a problem that we've long had, which is, what do you do when your data is dispersed, but you have to access all of it? One solution to that has been just give up on accessing all of it and access a little piece of it. That's the most popular solution. And obviously that has serious limitations. It means you make dumber decisions because you're not privy to all the information that you went to all the trouble of storing. The other solution, largely a figment, the other solution is just wait. Any year now, your data will somehow be unified in a single place, and you won't have to worry about connecting across the enterprise any longer. I think this myth is perpetuated by the very strong voice of a few vendors that aspire one day to own that place where you put all of your data. And so the rumor still bounces around that someday you're going to possibly be able to unify it, but that's not realistic. So the other answer has to be the data stays where it is, but somehow we query it all, and we bring it together at the moment we need to make a decision or have an interface with a customer. And so that's what a data fabric is. We're going to leave your data where it is, but we're still going to access it as if it were local whenever you need to access it. How does that happen? Well, usually, most of the time, that happens with a cache. That means that you've pre-identified which things you'd want to be able to query from data sources around the enterprise, and you've periodically run that query in advance, brought together the results, and made a cache. A data fabric is not, however, always a cache. In Appian's case, it is not always a cache. There's more to it. We are querying when necessary all the way to the data source. We're in fact even reading and writing back to the original source through the fabric. So our data fabric is very sophisticated. The key though, overall, whatever kind of data fabric you're using, is that you don't have a single database, but you do have a single data model. And it gives you awareness and consciousness and connection to all that information across your organization. As such, that's really important. This is a really essential step. We've had a data fabric since 2021. I love it, and it is something I want to tell you about more as we go forward in this presentation. When we came out with it, it wasn't even, we didn't call it a data fabric because that word wasn't really popular yet. So we had a data fabric before it was cool, to be precise. We called it something else because it wasn't cool to call it data fabric yet, but we've renamed it. So now we're cool. All right, the other fabric, it's only funny because we're not, right? That's why I gotta laugh, is because we're not. All right, anyway, the other fabric is the process fabric, and this is the fabric of all the things that make up automation, all right? This is the intelligent, so it's artificial intelligence, intelligent document processing, robotic process automation, process mining, low code, workflow. All of those products that make up automation are the process fabric. This is the action layer. The lower layer was the data layer. Now we have the action layer on top. We're calling it process fabric. If you've been to any of these presentations, you know that we talk about this layer all the time. We are a pioneer in this. We believe in this. This is our thing, and I won't belabor it right now because you probably heard about it a lot from Appian, but we are proud to be a pioneer in bringing together the process fabric. Now, what happens when you have a process fabric and a data fabric? This is when it gets really exciting, right? This is like the end-to-end relationship. If you've ever worked with databases, right? One-to-end is exciting, but end-to-end, wow, now you can connect anything to anything, and that's what this relationship is like. Some would call this hyper-automation, which sounds pretty sci-fi, but this actually looks pretty sci-fi. If you're a Star Trek fan, like me, that looks like a wormhole. Yeah. Anyway, though, the implications of this diagram, right, call it what you will, is that any application can now talk to any data. That's really exciting. You can have your RPA work with this data, and then your AI work with that data, and then your workflow and your intelligent document processing, you're connecting all to all. That's revolutionary, connecting all to all. And that is the answer to the problem that agility led to fragmentation. These fabrics will defragment you. And that's the answer, right? It's the answer for today's problem. The one that we just created by surviving yesterday's problem. This is now the answer to that. We're going to bring the infrastructure, bring the enterprise back together. All right, so let's talk about some practical examples. During the pandemic, it was difficult for students to stay up to date on their classes. If you've seen the latest statistics, it was a real challenge. We got some absences to overcome now. But the government got involved, came up with a good program that has helped a lot of students. It's helped 14 million students. What they did was have a fund that could be allocated to subsidize the purchase of connectivity or devices so that students who didn't have access to those things could participate more fully in remote schooling. It's a good idea. Students needed that. However, we needed to do it quickly. And that's where Appian came in. We worked with our old friends and our partners at USAC, Universal Service Administrative Co. We together automated a process, a grants management system. We put this together rapidly, 8 weeks to put this together in order to allocate these grants to needy children. In the first 3 months, handled $9 billion of requests from all 50 states for 16 million devices, for 10 million connectivity contracts to broadband, committed $6 billion, touching 14 million students. Very pleased to see how quickly we rallied on this. Great old partnership, a worthy cause, and just the kind of thing that Appian does. Quickly connect, quickly instantiate, get something to market that can work in high volume. I show this slide every year. I won't belabor it. I just want to say we're proud to work with you. 11 out of the 14 U.S. civilian cabinet agencies, all branches of the military. We are proud to be your partner. Thank you for working with us. We get a lot of usage. This has really shot up in the last few years. These are public sector logons. I remember back in the days when we built Army Knowledge Online. I know this is going back. This is more than 20 years ago. When we built Army Knowledge Online, we were so proud that we had 2 billion human logons. We used to have statistics about this. It used to be one of my favorite things to say. I wanted to say, look how scalable this system is. It's one of the most scalable systems ever built for the US government. We have 2 billion human logons. I still think that was cool for its time. But we're going to do 2 billion human logons in the government this quarter, right? If you look at this chart, it's going nowhere but up. The amount of usage passing through Appian's system is extraordinary. And so onward and upward, it's a great tradition. And thank you for entrusting us with so much usage, 7 billion this year. Along with that also is growing our community. And by community, I mean the people who are expert at deploying Appian, who can use our technology really well. Our community is the lifeblood of our product. You're part of our community, and we appreciate that. But our community is growing, and it grew 222% last year. And I just want to briefly say that that's a great thing for us. I know that if you're looking to deploy Appian, you want to find experts. A lot of these new community members who have become trained practitioners on the Appian platform can be found by talking with our partners. And I encourage you to speak with our partners and ask them whether they can help, right? Whether they've got the experts to do your next deployment. Some of these new practitioners may work for you, may work in your organization. And I love that too. I love organizations training their own experts, and because then you've got a person who truly understands both the organization and the technology. We're here to help also. The key is, though, we've got you covered. No matter where you find your expertise, I want you to know that this community has you covered. We have thousands of trained experts who are ready to assist you with your deployment. They're all over. And we're making it easy to build more. Our Appian Community Edition makes it as easy as possible for you to just get involved with our technology, learn it, get certified, and become an expert on your own. Here's more data. I won't do too much, but here's a little more data. Last year, there were 7 billion customer processes run. What I mean by this, by the way, is if you build one process and then you run it 1,000 times, it counts 1,000 against this chart. Okay, so 7 billion times has a process been run. That's what I'm trying to say. That's 19 million a day. It's a huge amount. It's like 200 a second processes being run around the world on our platform. So proud of that. Really cool. This is my favorite feature. We've been talking about it for 2 years. This is Data Fabric, though originally it was called low-code data. This is my favorite feature, and we just won't stop. We keep coming out with new additions to this concept because we believe it to be so valuable. The latest 2 additions that I'd like you to briefly hear about before you hear about it in more detail when we have our product-focused presentation are the 2 on the far right of this diagram. Codeless data modeling means that you can now map out the relationships between data entities in your enterprise with a wizard, graphically with a wizard. And then in the lower right, read-write means that you can write back to data sources through the data fabric. The data fabric is not a dumb cache. It's actually just a gateway to the entire enterprise worth of data that you have, and you can interact with all that data. You can be sure that it's real time. You can write back and change it. We're giving you a dynamic gateway to the enterprise's worth of data, no matter how scattered it may be. Adoption rates are really high. This is totally optional stuff. We came out with it about 18 months ago, and nobody's forced to use it. They probably already built out their data connections if they've been working with Appian for a while. But despite the fact that it's optional, 45% of our customer base has decided to adopt it. That's great, but that means that there's half of you who haven't. And let me say again, this is my single favorite feature that we have written. Please check it out. This is really revolutionary. It'll speed up your access to data. It will make your processes smarter. It will allow you to act in real time. This is special stuff, and it's ahead of a big trend right now, so please check it out. It's a great part of working with Appian. 68 billion process automations this year. 68 billion. Now, process automation is like one action that comprises a process. Like a typical process might have 10 of them. If you figure that any one of those, which is like a read or a write or a check or a routing or sending an email, whatever it is, might have taken a human 5 minutes if we delegated this to people, which we wouldn't do, right? That would be cruel. But if you delegated all these boring tasks to people, they'd probably be 5 minutes each. And if people are making 20 bucks an hour, then that'd be $1.67 for every one of these actions. You add that up, it's 113 point something billion dollars of annual savings. Just pretty crazy. I'm going to stop rattling on about statistics. I just want to say it's big. That's all. All right. So, hey, economic uncertainty. I started the presentation by saying that we were headed into a period of economic uncertainty. I think it's probably going to be a recession. And I'm going to close the presentation with the same theme. Don't mean to be a downer, but I think we've all got to be thinking about this. How will our objectives change if we do indeed hit economic turbulence? Generally, what happens is we slightly refocus our priorities on things like reliability and return on investment. And I want to say that that's exactly what we're about. Appian is the most reliable in this sector. We have a 99% gross renewal rate, which is to say that of every dollar of subscriptions we've got out there, literally 99 cents of it is going to be renewed over the course of a year. Rarely has there ever been a 99% renewal rate in this or any industry. It is outrageous. It is unheard of. Nobody gets that. I'm very proud that you've chosen to continue working with Appian the way you do. Thank you so much. We are also the only winner every time of the Customer's Choice survey For large organizations, we win literally every time they do the survey. We also very much appreciate your loyalty as represented there and appreciate the value we're creating together that makes you want to keep working with us. We also mean to be a partner to you in generating return on investment. You may have heard that a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, we bought an organization, bought a company, great technology for process mining. Process mining is good at looking at the actions in your data logs to figure out how efficient you are and where inefficiency exists to see if we can improve things. Well, that's a great tool to use when there's an economic downturn and you need to show ROI. That's exactly what we've done with that technology in the last 12 months. We've directed it at our own processes to allow you to evaluate and tune and improve and demonstrate the return you're getting on Appian software. Here is a picture of our process mining technology. You see it on the slide. You can quickly understand the results, the benefits of your processes by using process mining. We have a new savings scorecard. It's in beta, right? But you can use it. It's in beta. It shows you numerically a bunch of statistics about how much you're saving, how much you're improving. It's a great little tool. You can also mine data, mining data from Appian applications. That's also in beta, but it's a great way to figure out where the efficiencies lie. This is how we're going to work harder on ROI than we ever have for you. I want to briefly say that it's always been important to us to be known for our security, right? We have recently achieved a provisional authorization on IL5, and we're proud to be one of the first in the world to achieve that, one of the first couple dozen. We got that ahead of companies that are 10x our size, like ServiceNow, Salesforce. We got that ahead of our arch rival, Pegasystems, and it's always good to be ahead of them, right? We make a point of being ahead on security clearances because we know it's important to you. We've gotten a lot of security clearances, right? All those on the left, right? That's what we're doing. And this coming year, FedRAMP High, State Ramp, Canada's Protected B, Australia's IRAP, right? We've got a packed agenda of new security clearances. And I know you may not need all those, but they're still going to help you because we put our product through all kinds of scrutiny from all directions in order to maintain our leadership in security because it's important to you. Our government acquisition suite continues to grow, and it grows because it's popular, because you are using it, and we appreciate that, and we want to continue delivering value to you. Our goal is to modernize government acquisitions. We have now 5 solutions. You can use them together. You could use them apart. If you use them together, they're seamless. We have many government customers around this suite. We want to thank DISA and the U.S. Air Force, the Navy, FDA, HHS, DAU, the GSA, Texas Department of Public Safety, and more. Thank you for trusting your procurements to our suite. It's mobile, it's flexible, it's extensible, it's compliant with FedRAMP, IL4, IL5, and we continue to work on it. In particular, we added vendor management just recently. Vendor management is archaic. We all know this. It's frustrating. It hasn't changed in 25 years. It's done by email. It's exactly the sort of place where we could make a difference, and we mean to make a difference. Recently, a survey was done. 100 federal employees were surveyed asking about their vendor management experience, and the results were overwhelming. Most of them said that they were dissatisfied with the technology they were using. Fully 40% said that their technology was literally making the job harder, right? Technology, the purpose of which is to expedite and facilitate the job, was literally making the job harder. The chief economist of the World Bank says the world wastes $1 trillion a year on bad vendor management, bad procurement. All right, so we're trying to help. Appian is the only modern, automated, integrated vendor management system. We offer this for your consideration. We believe this government acquisition management suite is something special. We would love to talk to you about it if you're not using it today. I want to finish the talk by thanking our partners. Here they are on the slide. and thanking you, the members of our community and our customers, for undertaking this great project with us. We're all in it together. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be working with you. Thank you.